Okay, how many people are on right now? Wait and see if there's gonna be people coming on within the next 2 to 3 minutes. If not, we might have to end this early. It's the first time I've begun a live stream with such low attendance. Come close a couple of other times, but this is not one of them. Okay, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait a bit. I'm gonna wait just a little bit. We have some people popping up. I bet you guys can hear me, or else we'd probably already be having objections. Hello, everyone. There we go. Now attendance goes up. Okay, sounds good. Alrighty. We got Americans, we got Brazilians, we got, are anybody else here? Oh yeah, there's one Italian in the building, I think. Hello. Dun, 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 dun. This is, we got a Canadian in the house. Anyway, before I get distracted, welcome to the last live stream, most likely of the summer. We're nearing the end of summer with the end of August looming up already. I feel sorry for all the peeps who been wanting to fly and either been too busy or bogged down with other stuff to fly because, even though it's hot as hell, this is by far the best season for flying, assuming you have sunglasses. Because we're heading off into fall season within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So people, get your flying in. If you have any problems, please, I'd say email us. Emailing is probably one of the best ways of getting to us, service@hubsan.com. But yeah, so as the preface that I always do before every live stream, number one, please no spamming or trolling. If you troll or post inappropriate content or spam, that will net you an automatic ban from the channel. Needless to say, because this is the time for the community to ask questions. If we've got too many people doing too many things at once, people's questions are not going to be noticed. We're not going to be able to answer things that people need answered. So be respectful of that. Number two, we will not be talking about any sort of unreleased firmware. So if you ask a firmware-related question, unless it's about a version that is already released, I'm not going to answer it. Number three, please post your question only once. And if we tell you to email service@hubsan.com, it is not a runaround or a slur to try and get you to stop asking. It's because you most likely need more troubleshooting than it will be allowed in a 2 to 3 minute time slot in this particular live stream. So kindly do understand. If you don't, that's okay too, but you'd be robbing yourself of an opportunity to really get down to the essence of the issue you are having. So yeah. Anyway, let's get started. I do have one pre-submitted question from someone, which I will get to in a moment. Someone just said something that I want to address. Someone just told me to either translate into Portuguese or Spanish. I can do that, but only for select questions. I speak Spanish okay. But I can get a little slow when I'm nervous, which I typically am speaking Spanish in front of a whole bunch of people on a live stream. So I'm going to repeat that in Spanish. Sí, yo puedo traducir mis respuestas al español, pero yo no puedo hacerlo para cada pregunta. Entonces, si quieres una respuesta para una pregunta específica, por favor, traduce al español o al inglés y ponelas en el chat con una frase sobre quisiera que traduzas esta respuesta en español. Okay, so first question, I'm gonna answer the pre-submitted one. We had a little bit of a spat regarding the 501 SS version firmware, notably regarding 2.3 point blank, that RX version. And I'm here to confirm that anything with 2.3 point blank, notice the 3 in the middle right after the 2, is going to be a Chinese firmware. I've noticed that to be quite a trend, even amongst the earlier firmware versions that were released, the international and Chinese versions. So if you got a 2.1 point something, that's international. If you got a 2.3 point something, and that's Chinese. AKA, if you're not in China, don't use it. Please don't. Okay, that was a pre-submitted question. On to lives. Does the H501S have distance restrictions on the latest firmware? No. No, we never put distance restrictions. Are you kidding me? We tried to introduce a slight decrease, not slight, but we tried to introduce a decrease in the signal strength about 1.5 years ago, okay? People did not take it well. And we didn't do it to try and control our pilots. We did it because our packages, our cargo was getting rejected by the FCC. And we couldn't get our aircraft into America because of it. So instead, what we've done this time is to distribute the signal output gradually. So the nearer the aircraft is to you, the lower the signal output's going to be, but the farther away it goes, the more signal you're going to get out of the aircraft. Which basically means you're going to get the same amount of range that you did before without this particular quirk, just we're not going to get banned by the FCC. Okay. Next question. I saw a video of the Hubsan H109, but it doesn't have a camera, right? I don't think it has a camera, no. I did translate that video, which I'm very proud of. That was like, out of all the translations I've ever done, that was one of my favorites to do. But that particular, I don't think so. I think it's more of a joy flyer than anything else. I do know that management likes to watch the live streams a lot, so they might have picked up on the question which people are asking, oh, can't we have a manual flyer or something like that, or a free flyer the size of the 501S? And I was just like, well, I suppose you could, but why would you have one when you have manual mode on 501S? So honestly speaking, I don't know the details on the 109. I really don't. But I don't think there's a camera on it, and frankly speaking, I think it's more for just people wanting to fly something with the, and go, hee, I can fly this and it won't tumble over, even though it's the size of 501S. Okay, muchas gracias de nada. Evening/morning, Annie. A couple of times I've helped people on the groups with how the camera functions on an H109S using the H906A. The enter key toggles between the modes, video, photo, and etc. Playback, and the exit key executes the action. Start, stop video, take photo, select media. Others have disagreed with how it works, saying it works like the 501 with one button controlling the video and one controlling the pictures. Are there two different versions out there, perhaps a controller difference between 2-port and 4-port, older firmware that works differently, or some other? Okay, so that particular question is really, it is such, there have been so many versions of firmware released for the 109S that it is confusing even for me, because I have to keep track of 501, I have to keep track of 502, I have to keep track of 109, et cetera, et cetera. But I have no doubt that there has been at least two different versions. I think of it working like the 501, and then it working like the way you described it with the playback video photo mode toggle being on the enter key and taking it via the exit key. So I would say I wouldn't doubt it, because I think I've seen it before. Just be flexible when answering questions like that. I don't know the exact versions. I doubt that even if I asked the engineers, they would know the exact versions. But I think for the most part right now, it's you toggle amongst the modes unless something happened between 1.1.9 and 1.1.16 with the transmitter in the firmware that was released in that time as well. But I think for the most part, you still toggle amongst it. Unless, again, something happened. Something could have happened. I don't test the 109S very much now. As I said before, it's not very popular, not as popular as the 501 series, so go figure. All right, next question. When is Hubsan going to put a switch on the H501S? Okay, so here's the thing. I don't think they're ever going to put a switch on it because honestly, we don't, on the 501, we don't like to put complications where there doesn't need to be any complications. And also it's a steady design that most people do like. And honestly, these are more reliable than the switches. Not so many things you can break. I have no doubt it's possible. You know, with all of the new aircraft that we're coming out with, I really don't think it's necessary, nor that they're going to do it. Keep in mind, I'm saying I think, in my opinion. I'm usually pretty good at guessing at guessing what they're going to do, though, so. ¿El firmware tiene alguna novedad? ¿Cuál es la última versión? ¿Alguna novedad de gimbal para Hubsan H501SS? In translation in English, are there any new things on the firmware? Which is the latest firmware version? Is there going to be something new like a gimbal for the H501SS? In Spanish. En español. Esta pregunta ya he respondido en el pasado, ¿no? Dale. Este es el tiempo final, la respuesta final para esta pregunta. Voy a dar. Entonces, por favor, hay que recordarla para el futuro. ¿Dale? La última versión durante el presente es para el control de vuelo, versión 1.1.46. El RX, versión 2.1.50. All of a sudden, I forgot how to say 50. Good job, Annie. Hold on. .50. 2.1.50 para el RX. Creo que solamente la función más importante que es nueva es el autocalibración para la brújula. No se necesita calibrar la brújula cada vez si el dron no va a quererlo. Entonces, si el dron no pedirlo, no se necesita calibrar la brújula para esta versión. Ok. Yo no sé sobre el gimbal, pero yo no creo que vaya a tenerlo, una novedad. digging bug. So my response for his question is, again, I've already answered this before. This will be the last time I will answer that question. The newest firmware out for the present is version 1.1.46 for the flight control and version 2.1.50 for the RX or motherboard. The most important new feature is the auto compass calibration. If the aircraft does not request the calibration, you don't have to do it. And it's actually recommended that you don't do it unless you're having toilet bowl issues. Third is, he asked about if there's a gimbal, if there's going to be a new thing for a gimbal for the Hubsan H501S, and I said, I don't think so. I've already answered this question before as well, so this will be the last time I answer that question too. I don't think so. I don't think they're going to come out with them, but you never know. Next question. My question is on the professional controller. Are there two different programs for the same radio? I have two H501S quads. Both have CircleFly, but one has CircleFly here and one does not. So first of all, you need to check the firmware on your aircraft using the CircleFly/Orbit tutorial on the Back to Basics series on our main Facebook page. You look up our Facebook page by typing @Hubsan001 on the Facebook search bar. Go to the pin post right underneath the sales tab, click see more, and then look for the Orbit Fly, CircleFly tutorials. There are two of them. Check your aircraft firmware on both aircraft, and then check your transmitter firmware. Everything must be matching in accordance to the specifications on those tutorials, and you should be able to have CircleFly of both types if you so wish on both aircraft and both transmitters. So either number one, you don't have the prerequisite amount of satellites, or number two, you don't have the prerequisite firmware, or number three, your aircraft, for some reason, when you're flying with one and not the other, you're too close or too low to the ground. You're too close to the transmitter or too low to the ground. Next question. Oh, just jumped down. Is the H501S firmware download found on the Hubsan website you are referring to? It is located on our main website, yes. Official website is www.hubsan.com. Not on our Facebook page, on our official website, www.hubsan.com. Click on support, scroll down. Hi, Annie. Hope you're doing all right. You mentioned Hubsan will release a tool for modifying the parameters on the H123D. Wait, do you know if this will let us remove the expo on the stick control? I'm not sure. I do know that they're releasing the tool so that people can release as many restrictions on the acro mode as possible. I'm not sure about the expo on the stick control. What do you mean by that? Rick Roberts, I don't understand the new H109. It looks like the same size as the H501S. It doesn't look like it shares any parts to the H109, so it should be a different name. Seems like a waste of money to make a new TX. Well, once people try it, when it comes out, then we'll see customer response. You could totally forward that input to sales@hubsan.com. This isn't really too much space for it because that sort of thing is all dependent on what we see in terms of demand, which is sales oriented. I help fix the things and troubleshoot the things that are going wrong with products that are already released. If something's not working properly, then I would be the one to go to. But if there's an opinion over something that seems like that you don't understand about a new model, we can answer questions about that once we know more about it. But if you don't think the client base is going to reflect very much interest in it, then that goes to sales. Do you still make the Hubsan H109S Pro anymore? I've answered this question multiple times over the other live streams, but I will say it again. Again, the 109S is still in production. Demand is just much lower, so production is not as plentiful. No problem, Maddie. I'm going to go on to the next question. Why is it I'm on a second H507A X4 and out of the box neither will power up with fully charged battery? Also, I've got no response to my emails. I'm not sure why you're getting no response to your emails, perhaps because the email might not be making it to the service server, or totally possible that your email is for some reason going to the company spam server, which we can't access, unfortunately. So that usually happens with non-common email server addresses. If you have like a common one like Hotmail or Gmail, then keep trying. And also PM either the Shally Liu Facebook account or the Hubsan Facebook account, or you can also post something on the forums so that we can get to you. As for your other question about the 507A, so there are two problems that I've noted about the 507A that are most common in terms of not being able to power on. The first is that the contact between the battery pins and the aircraft and the slots in which they're supposed to slide into in the aircraft are slightly off, and that usually requires a slight adjustment of the body shell. We can help you out with that from our end in the Los Angeles Repair Center, because we deal with that a lot. The only thing that might be troublesome is if you have a battery that was DOA, which something must have happened during the transit process, which is again pretty common for a LiPo. Even though LiPos are purportedly some of the most stable things to, like, some of the most stable types of batteries, you still get infant mortality on them like nobody's business. There's also the possibility that you might not be holding down the power button long enough. It's pretty hard to hold down, I have to admit. You have to really press it, and after around 3 to 5 seconds, it should come on. So I would check pressing down on it first. And if still you have that issue, please feel free to send a video to service@hubsan.com or via the official Hubsan Facebook page or the Shally Liu Facebook page. Myself and the others on Facebook groups are a little confused as to who's who. Shally isn't Shally now. She's away for a couple of months, and who uses Sam Lee's account? Well, North America monitors the Shally Liu account. The Sam Lee account, nobody really answers. So if you're talking about the main Facebook page, it's a combination of North America and the Chinese office. Usually it's the Chinese office answering the PMs, though, I would say, on both accounts. So I know it's confusing, but honestly, like, what matters to us is that we get to answer the questions that people have. That's our main concern. If you want to talk to a specific person, you can always ask for someone's email via PM. But honestly, whoever you get, we're a pretty small team, and we share pretty much almost the same amount of information, especially the North American reps. So should be fine, because I trained the North American reps myself. Hello, congrats for your Spanish. I'm from Mexico. Thanks, but my Spanish really isn't that great. When I blank out, I get nervous a lot. I had the Hubsan H501S. Now there's a version H501A Air Pro. It doesn't have a gimbal. Videos recorded look shaky, but I think you could. Just saying, I've answered this question before on the gimbal part. I'm not allowed to say anything, but let me put it this way. If you as a company had a choice to debut a new product with new innovations versus a product versus fix or changing design on a product that's already out, which would you do? Especially with so many new trends in the UAV industry now, huh? I'll leave it at that. Can the Hubsan representatives on Facebook let us know who they are by including their name if they post a reply? Annie, are you on the Facebook groups? Who are you? Most of the time, honestly, we're rushing to get through a lot of the responses. We don't like to leave our names because we want to keep things as even amongst the representatives as possible in terms of response. Some days, one person will have more time to monitor Facebook than the other one. So we're not going to exactly give out our names every time we give a response, but the answers that we're going to give are pretty much the same. So unless, of course, there are some differences sometimes between China and North America, confusion, but we usually get that resolved pretty quickly. So yeah, unfortunately not. I understand what you mean. I totally get it. But we've had issues in the past in which people will specifically go to one person and that person is overwhelmed. So we have to just redistribute the work amongst all of us, just so that we can get to people on time. But I understand what you mean. Do you have any idea how long it'll be till my camera board arrives? If it was shipped from North America and you're in North America, usually it arrives. It takes no longer than 5 business days, assuming USPS didn't make a goof up. If you have curiosities about tracking and whatnot, please contact the representative you were communicating with. You are in the UK. If you are in the UK, it usually takes around 15, not 50. Good Lord, if it was 50. It usually takes around 15 to 20 days, not including the time it takes to get through customs. Usually customs is a real pain in the rear because they can delay a package for up to a month or two. I've seen it happen for 3 to 5. So it can get kind of rough. But yeah, that's your answer. What happened to my question? It's a 501s. Don't know. Oh, I see you. Okay. When I use circle me or follow me, it does, but it doesn't point the camera at me. I love giving this explanation. There is no compass in your transmitter. There's one in the aircraft, but not one in the transmitter. And I'll tell you why that matters. The compass is what determines in real time the direction, that the heading of a particular orientation of a particular thing, depending on where you are, because that changes where you are depending on the magnetic field all across the globe. So when you've only got a GPS module in the transmitter, that means you're getting an approximate location of where your transmitter is, which means that your aircraft is going to have to approximate where you are based on where the transmitter reports it is. As you can imagine, since there's no compass or no real-time orientation reading coming from the transmitter, that guesstimate is not going to be correct some of the time. I find it's a hit or miss at around 70% success rate. If you're having that problem with the facing issue, simply use the yaw or the rudder stick to make a facing adjustment. Don't use any other stick, or else you're going to take yourself out of the feature. My new compass has been working awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. Hallelujah. Sorry, so late. I cannot find a transmitter stick calibration instruction for the HT011A transmitter. Can you help? It's the exact same thing as what you would do on an H501 or on an H901A or H906A. Except this time you don't have a switch for an on and off. You have a button. So all you do is hold the sticks to whatever mode you want to calibrate in and then hold down the power button. And then you should hear the transmitter go. I think the transmitter beeps. I'm not 100% sure because I have so many modes memorized that they get mixed up in my brain. But It's the exact same way. You just use the power button instead of a switch. That's all. My H501A using the H906A will not do follow me. It moves forward a meter or so and then stops. Circle me works fine. Any ideas is up to date on firmware, including the aircraft. Is the aircraft up to date on firmware as well? 1.1.41, 2.1.29. Okay. Have you checked to make sure that the transmitter's GPS isn't dropping out here and then? If you have like 6 and then it drops down to 5 and then it goes back to 6. Also, how far away is the aircraft from you? Works fine with your H109. Okay, have you checked for GPS dropouts on your aircraft then? Okay, transmitter GPS stays on. That means if it works fine with your 109. But does the GPS drop out on your aircraft then? So if you really have to pay attention to the GPS counts on the aircraft. No GPS issues. That's weird then. That's a really odd situation. I don't know the answer to that because we really haven't had that issue in a while. And usually when we do, firmware or satellite dropouts does it. So you might want to send a short video of that, including the firmware versions of both the transmitter and the aircraft to service, because this warrants more investigation. I can't get into it right now because I really have to take the case and work at it. But other than that, other than the usual 7,000 GPS trace disappearing, yeah, email us. It's going to be a complicated case. Hopefully not too complicated, but I can't answer it right now. No problem. Thank you. When you start the transmitter in calibration mode, it beeps and displays 4 solid lights. Did the stick motions, then a button, then it beeps and it resumes searching for the aircraft. Yeah, that's how it works. Good job. You did it. Next question. Hello, Annie. Initially, when I received my H123D, I couldn't get the function to turn on or off the headlight or the front-facing LED. Okay. Is there a question following that? Are you saying that it still doesn't turn on? Are you still saying that you're unable to toggle the headlight as you wish? The headlight I know should be able to come on and off. Front-facing LED, I am not sure. Are you still unable to, turn the headlight on and off? After looking into the manual, I noticed that the instruction was backwards. What do you mean by backwards? Okay, that's not a problem. I'm glad you pointed it out. Could you specify what you mean by backwards? While you type up that response, I'm going to answer this next person's question. Sorry, I don't think I heard a response to the H109. Can it be upgraded to the H109S or a completely different platform? It really should have picked a different name. Okay, so again, I did respond to your question, although it wasn't really a question. If you posted that last part that you just did earlier, then I didn't see it or it never made it onto the chat. So in response to your thought about the 109 naming, that goes to sales@hubsan.com. We don't deal with the naming situation or anything of the sort in terms of branding from technical support. We determine what's wrong with what's already out, technologically speaking, hardware, firmware, et cetera, et cetera. However, I can't answer your question about the upgrade part. I don't think so. Last time I checked, it does use the same. It uses a similar motherboard that the H109S does. The motherboards look extremely familiar between the two, but I don't think that you would be able to upgrade it and make it a 109S because I don't think that's the case. They're two complete because they share a similar motherboard, but they're two completely different platforms, like intended to be for different things. Frankly speaking, I don't know why they're releasing it either. All I know is that they're releasing it and some of the hardware looks really similar. That's also the reason, by the way, you're going to want to email sales and not service@hubsan.com. We don't deal with the Y-force. We deal with the Y-force of a product release. We deal with the consequences of a product release. Is the best storage voltage for a 2S battery 3.8 volts per cell? That's not a bad storage. That's not a bad storage voltage at all. Personally, I recommend nominal voltage. Nominal voltage meaning the voltage that a battery is rated at. So if you have a 2S LiPo that is rated at 7.6 volts on the package, you see it right, so 7.6. I discharge it to that. If it's a 7.4 volt battery, then I would discharge it to 7.4, 7.5, et cetera, et cetera. That's what I usually do. In the instructions, the manual states that the right trim button turns on and off the LEDs, but after testing the other trim settings, I realized that the left trim settings were in fact the correct ones. Okay, let me write that down and I will get it over to the manual department. Left trim buttons turn on and off. That's actually standard. I've never seen it done on unless you were dealing in mode 1. Even then, maybe not. But that's pretty much standard for all of the transmitters we've got. You know, the left throttle trim going on and off. So yeah, I've written that down. I'll go ahead and submit it to them. Anyway, it's about that time. No problem. Thank you for pointing that out so that I can get that correction over to them. So yeah, 1, 2, 3D. I'm going to make sure I write it down. It's about that time. Hold on. 1, 2, 3D. All right. Chat is freaking out. Okay. So this is the final live stream, and thank you so much everyone for joining us. I do see one last question that I will answer just because it is the last one, and I don't want to. I don't want to leave someone in the dust because this is the last. I have the H109S Advanced early version of the compass in the right rear. I have since upgraded RX and FC to 1.1.26 and H9068 transmitter. It all worked pretty well. I've now purchased a new H7000 transmitter. I was able to bind it just fine. Am I good to go? Any issues with the rear right compass, H109S and H7000? No, there shouldn't be a problem. Do make sure that the transmitter is upgraded to 2.1.8, but besides that, you should be fine. You're good to go. Anyway, Thank you guys so much for attending the series, especially to the people who have been here for almost every single live stream. I don't know how the hell you guys do it. So many of you guys from the UK, and you're staying up till like midnight or some shit just to watch, just to ask questions on our live stream. Great. I mean, great going on attendance. And again, we very much appreciate everyone in the community and what your contributions to the community, especially if you're a veteran pilot and have always been asking either for suggestions or improvements, or have tested for us, especially tested. Good Lord. You guys who test, bless your souls. Bless your hearts and bless your souls. Thank you very much for testing for us. And hello and goodbye from Los Angeles. If you're watching this after the fact, don't worry. There will be more. Just as of right now, the timing hasn't been decided yet. We're going to have to do another poll. We want to do some times that other people have, like that we have not done so far. For example, on Mondays and whatnot. So yeah. See ya next time. Please keep an eye out on our Facebook page for a poll on the next live stream times. As always, good to see all of you. Happy flying. Don't get too sad when fall gets around. Take advantage of that flying time, as I said. Stock up for winter.